Have you ever had a day when you were in a hurry and all the traffic lights turned red? Or your day off was ruined by rain? Or the one thing you didn't study for an exam ended up being on the test? The idea that if something can go wrong, it will go wrong is known as Murphy's Law. The origin of this law dates back to the 1940s during a project called MX-981 at Edwards Air Force Base in the United States. The plan was to test human resistance to G-forces during rapid deceleration using a rocket on rails with a series of brakes at one end. The initial tests were conducted with a dummy strapped to a chair, but later tests used a person, John Paul Stapp, who replaced the dummy. This raised questions about the accuracy of the instrumentation used to measure the G-forces that Stapp experienced. An engineer named Edward Murphy proposed using electronic sensors attached to Stapp's harness to measure the force exerted on him during rapid deceleration. Murphy's assistant wired the harness, and a first test was conducted using a chimpanzee. However, the sensors gave a reading of 0, indicating an installation error. Each sensor had been wired incorrectly. At that moment, Murphy, referring to his assistant, coined the phrase, "If a person has a way to make a mistake, they will." This evolved into what we now know as Murphy's Law. This idea can be applied to many situations in our daily lives, leading to numerous derivative laws. One of the most famous manifestations of Murphy's Law is the belief that toast always falls butter side down. Interestingly, this has been shown to happen almost 100% of the time. Is this proof that Murphy's Law is true? Not really. Contrary to popular belief, toast falls butter side down not because that side is heavier, but due to the height of the table. In 1995, scientist Robert Matthews confirmed this after more than 10,000 trials. The toast simply has enough time to make half a turn, but not a full one. Matthews also demonstrated that if tables were 3 meters high, the toast would always land butter side up. So why don't we have 3-meter-high tables? Because they wouldn't be practical. Matthews also pondered why humans aren't 3 meters tall. The answer is that the maximum safe height for a bipedal creature is 3 meters. Beyond this height, any fall could cause severe injuries. The tallest person on record was American Robert Wadlow, who reached a height of 2.72 meters and 200 kilograms before passing away. His great size and continued growth into adulthood were caused by hypertrophy of the pituitary gland, and he kept growing until his death. Despite his size, he was still 28 centimeters short of 3 meters, considered the maximum safe height. Returning to Murphy's Law and the toast example, the law holds true simply due to physical laws. But there are other instances where it can't be explained by these laws alone. One such case is the idea that the law works because we are aware of it. For example, imagine a magician who has practiced a trick 100 times successfully in private, but the day he performs it in front of an audience, it goes wrong. This is likely due to the tension of performing under pressure, causing the mistake. Sometimes, Murphy's Law manifests in seemingly inexplicable ways. One famous case is that of Major Summerford, who, in February 1918, while fighting in the fields of Flanders as a British officer, was struck by lightning, paralyzing him from the waist down. In 1924, while fishing by a river, a lightning strike hit the tree he was sitting under, paralyzing the right side of his body. 2 years later, in 1930, Summerford was sufficiently recovered to take a walk in a local park, where he was again struck by lightning, this time paralyzing him permanently. He died 2 years later, but that wasn't the end. For years after his death, a lightning strike hit a cemetery, destroying a gravestone. That gravestone belonged to Major Summerford. His story might seem like evidence of bad luck and, consequently, Murphy's Law, but probability refutes this. In fact, it's more likely to be struck by lightning than to win the first prize in the lottery. Each year, approximately 240,000 people are struck by lightning, with 24,000 dying as a direct result. These numbers might seem exaggerated, but this map shows the annual average of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes per square kilometer. What's striking and important about this map, besides the immense number of lightning strikes, is that the areas with the highest lightning density coincide with the most populated regions on the planet. So, when you do the math, Major Summerford's case wasn't bad luck but a demonstration that probability works. Probability can indicate how close a particular future event is. Every day, countless events occur that seem unremarkable, but occasionally, remarkable events do happen. Among the daily events, some are positive, some are negative, and some are neutral. The key is that our brain remembers the negative ones more vividly. This is crucial for understanding Murphy's Law appears to be true because if you perform an action 9 times and it works 9 times, but it fails once, your brain will always remember the failure, not the successes. This is why Murphy's Law seems to hold. The second law of thermodynamics states that anything done in the universe tends to increase its entropy. Entropy is the degree of disorder in a system, whether that system is your home, the Earth, or the entire universe. Entropy is a physical quantity that describes how any action disperses energy, seeking equilibrium. For example, if you place 2 pieces of metal together, one cold and one hot, they will always tend to transfer energy to equalize their temperatures, but not the other way around. 2 pieces of metal at the same temperature will never tend to redistribute energy. If you want to return to the initial state, making one piece colder and the other hotter, you'll need to use energy, which will be lost as heat and cannot be recovered. In other words, to counteract the second law of thermodynamics, you must increase the entropy of the universe, its disorder, thereby ensuring the law is upheld. To return to the initial state, you will have added more energy than there was initially. This means that all the energy in the universe is increasingly spread out, raising the universe's entropy and disorder. As Walking Grouse stated, the fact that the universe's entropy is always increasing implies that its disorder is always increasing. In a universe with growing disorder, seemingly improbable events can become probable. So, anything you think could never happen to you might eventually happen. Thus, Murphy's Law, aside from being a manifestation of how our universe works, holds true because we tend to be pessimistic. So, be optimistic and make sure the law doesn't apply to you.